Welcome in everyone to the Phillips alum spotlight. Today we are sitting with Robin. Robin, if you could just introduce yourself and talk a little bit about your ministry.
Okay. I'm Robin McGonigle. I went to seminary at Phillips in the early 90s when Phillips had just separated from the university and became the independent graduate school. And so I was one of the first commuters to Phillips from Wichita, Kansas, before there was online, before they had classes that were designed for people who were driving 2.5 hours each direction to school. And before they were designed to just do 1 or 2 days a week. But I met another commuter from Wichita, and between us, we had 7 children under the age of 4. And we decided to do this crazy thing together. And I was expecting the seventh of the children while I was starting school. And so we drove to Enid, Oklahoma to start our seminary journey. And for 3 years, we made that trek 2 times a week. Um,
Wow.
in the end, we graduated number 2 and 3 in our class. We were so excited, but our husbands at the beginning of every semester would say, "You have got to be kidding. You're doing this again." And we would say, "Yes, we are. And we love it." So the seminary journey for me was an aha experience every day. In fact, every class. Um, I came to seminary in my early 20s, and I had been a Bible and theology junkie from the time I was a kid. I went to Bible club even when I was in elementary school. After school, I memorized scriptures at my grandma's knee. She paid me for every verse I memorized. And I memorized all 109 questions and answers to the Catechism, um, Westminster Catechism class. But when I came to seminary, I learned the context of God's love and also God's justice, and how to spread love and mercy and justice and grace. And so every day was an aha for me. And I was able to put together the scripture that I loved along with the action of ministry and the call to act in love to God's people. And so it became a new call for me. And so I have pastored congregations. I have taught at graduate schools. I've taught Christian ethics and Christian leadership
Mm.
to various colleges around the Wichita area. I have led congregations to cooperate with other people of faith. For example, one Christian church that I was the minister at, we hosted an Islamic school that got started in our Christian building. And we had the Islamic school there for 6 years while they started. And at the end of the 6 years, they had 65 students meeting every day for school, all day in our
Wow.
Christian building.
Can you tell us what degree program you went through at Phillips?
Yes, I completed a Master of Divinity, and then I waited 3 years and did a Doctor of Ministry. And honestly, the Doctor of Ministry was as significant as the Master of Divinity. Um, One of my favorite things about my Doctor of Ministry was learning systematic uh, I'm sorry, systems theory. And we talked about the various systems that were at work in our congregations. And as we explored very deeply what congregations' stories were and how the systems were working in each congregation we served, it became apparent that every congregation has a story that they reenact uh, in their story. And then we were learning how to change the story and the trajectory of the congregation. And that has been one of the most useful tools that I have ever learned in managing and helping a congregation move forward from trauma, or just in changing their past and moving into a new future. So I draw on that class a great deal, along with all the theology classes and pastoral care things that I learned.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's interesting to hear. That was going to be my next question of, what were some of the lessons that have stuck with you, throughout the years that you experienced at Phillips. And it's interesting to hear that class specifically, has informed a lot of work that you do now.
Yes, that class was instrumental in helping me serve congregations and helping them grow deeper in their faith and moving them forward. I've done some consulting with disciple congregations, but also with Episcopal congregations to assist them in some of these things. And I've done some mediation with members and pastors in other congregations. And I've used this systems theory to help them understand why they're repeating patterns that are in their congregation or in their lives. And so that's been extremely beneficial. Another class that was foundational for me was Dennis Smith's class on New Testament and communion and the table. And of course, that's gotten a lot of attention in the Christian Church Disciples of Christ, and how we understand the table as a welcoming place and as open to all and welcoming to all. But he was doing this work in the 80s and 90s and was exploring ancient dining rooms. And he even had a video of himself in various ruins and dining rooms of antiquity throughout the Roman and Greco world, and talking as he was walking amongst the ruins about various dining rooms. And he would talk about how the ancient world, how the ancient Roman Greco world did meals, and how they laid, you know, alongside each other and basically on their left elbow and ate with their right hand, and how they were entertained, and how Jesus might have been at some of these banquets. The first communion might have come from the ancient banquet tradition. And this was a very eye-opening experience for me. And so I have played with Maundy Thursday meals and created some Maundy Thursday meals where I educated the congregation about ancient dining practices. And I have shown them relics from the ancient world, picture PowerPoint of various things. And I've told them about how the ancient banquets worked, and then had a meal with Middle Eastern meals and so on. Anyway, Dennis's class was so instrumental in my understanding of communion and what Jesus might have been doing during that first meal with his disciples, and how the early symposiums worked in the ancient world. So it's been really fun to use that in my ministries at various churches. And the people have been enthralled with seeing the ancient ruins on film, and they've been really interested in the pottery and the wine containers that are in museums around the Middle East and even here in the US.
For someone who may be looking at this video and they're on the fence on whether or not they should, come to Phillips, as an alum, what are some, encouraging or parting words that you could offer for those people?
I would encourage anyone who is interested not only in getting an education, but also having a life changing experience to try Phillips, because it it not only gives you a biblical foundation, but it will change your life for the better, because you will meet people, you will interact with people, whether it's online or in person, who will broaden your thoughts and will give you opportunities to see things in new ways, and who will enrich your your entire world. And people who have traveled, people who have studied the texts of the Bible, people who have thought outside the box, people who have dreamed beyond anything you can imagine and have put that dream into reality, people who have learned at Ivy League colleges, people who have studied one specific thing for their entire career and will bring life to it. And you will just be enriched and enlivened by studying with them. And you may learn things you never anticipated and spend time in a classroom, again, whether that's online or in person, and find your fellow students to also expand your horizons and teach you things you never knew you wanted to learn. So the whole experience, whether it's through professors or fellow students, will change your perspective, broaden your horizons, stretch you in ways you never imagined. And then the Phillips experience is also including speakers they bring in from the outside for chapel experiences. And you'll get to hear new preachers that talk about Black History Month or Women's History Month or other special events where they bring speakers in that tell you things, again, that and in worship you get to have new and enriching, enlivening, broadening things that are so exciting. And sometimes I will tune into chapel online just because my spirit is so dry and I need that oomph to
Right.
get through another day or another week. So, being a part of the Phillips community will give you the oomph you need to grow and thrive into whatever ministry you want to explore.
Wow, that was well said. Well said. Even as an employee, I've definitely been stretched within, my own faith. So I resonate with that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's so good. And yeah, it's
Yeah.
so good. And people don't realize that worship can be that mm, enriching.
Mm-hmm. I love that. Well, thank you, Robin. Thank you so much for, sharing a little bit about your testimony. And we look forward to, continue, seeing you grow in your ministry. So thank you.